The historical narrative theme is very important because it depicts significant historical events or events considered significant to the artist. This theme has been represented across different cultures and historical periods because it shows the importance of highly significant moments that left a mark in history. The Problem We All Live With by Norman Rockwell and A Migrant Mother by Dorothea Lange both tell an afflicting story from current events. The Problem We All Live With by Norman Rockwell. This was a time of desegregation that had many horrible things occurring. The story behind this artwork consists of a young girl walking on her way to the first day of school. This was the first year in which they had integrated schools. There was a mob shouting obscenities outside of Friends Elementary on this day as Ruby was being escorted by federal marshals. It was her first day of kindergarten and she was the only student in her class. The white children were taken out of the school and afterwards Ruby would go inside. The press had not released her name due to his safety, and all that everyone knew was that she was just an incredible child known for a special presence in a white school. This special painting was created with oil on canvas, and its dimensions were 36 inches by 58. The focal point here is the young girl, and even though she is not centered in the middle of the wall, she has a red splotch of paint that balances it off. The white dress stands out on her dark skin and makes her seem even more significant and important in this painting. Written on the wall are two racial words which you can ignore, but they can barely be noticed. The colors, compositions, and values on this painting are pretty simple, and they give you a main focus on the racial attack. There are main verticals and horizontals that help display the message being conveyed. The textures shown on the wall and on the sidewalk give the painting such a realistic touch. There is a great juxtaposition by the way she is way smaller than the marshals. We can see how they emphasize the young girl's point of view rather than the marshal's perspective. This shows how the painting mainly depicts the young girl's view of her situation. There are good lines that clearly trace out every small detail that is being depicted. There is also really good space and depth, as we can see the sidewalk come to a vanishing point and the figures show a relationship between the characters by visually proving that the marshals are way bigger in size compared to the young girl. We can see movement by the way the figures are sensed to be walking and the creases made on the marshal's pants. Unity and emphasis are shown in this painting because everything seems complete and the emphasis is greatly displayed on the young girl. This was a painting that showed much disbelief by so many viewers. This was a painting very different to the other ones that Norman created. It demonstrated the racial segregation that was going on during the time this painting was created. This is a very courageous and brave painting that means so much even up to this day. People still fight for equality nowadays, and that's also what makes this painting so meaningful. The message in this painting is so obvious that it's pretty much written all over the artwork. The rude, racial words on the wall clearly give a hint that the painting is about race and relations. The young girl in this painting helps us realize and think about how difficult it must have been and felt to walk in the midst of so much racism going on in her time. A Migrant Mother by Dorothea Lange. Here we see a picture of a worn-out woman with a face of frustration and worry. She has two children leaning on her for comfort and a baby on her lap. This photo is famous as it was taken during the Great Depression. The photograph was captured on March 1936 at a camp for seasonal agricultural workers. Lange had completed a month worth of photographic assignments, but something made her postpone her trip back home, and this made her go inside the camp where she noticed the woman. The woman was 32 years old and had been living on frozen vegetables. Her 7 kids were pretty much on starvation. She had sold the tires on her car to buy food, and her kids would kill birds for food. This woman was surviving with no help and no protection. This photograph shows big emphasis on the mother. It shows how much worry and desperation is on her face. The colors on this photo are all monochromatic, displaying only blacks and whites. The texture displayed here can really demonstrate how much the woman is struggling. The photo was taken at a really good angle where the wrinkles and worn-out skin are emphasized. The space shown is not much since the kids are shown to be really close to her to demonstrate the great need they are facing. We can see proportion and scale here while her children seem to hide their faces behind her for safety and comfort. There is balance displayed as we can see the mother in the middle and a child on each side. We can see unity and have a sense of completion and know that the photo is not missing anything and everything is in its place. We can see the dirty, ragged clothes they are all wearing and realize the hard work they had to endure and the impoverished times they were living in. The 2 children show some type of vulnerability as they're turned away from the camera. This is a time of serious poverty. The economy and all the other things crashed down, and this period became known as the Great Depression. This woman truly shows how much she is suffering. The detail is mostly emphasized on her face, which she is the biggest focal point in the photo, and her kids are also portrayed as weak and afflicted. We can see how much she is suffering. Everything displayed here is a simple demonstration of the poverty and afflicting times of the Great Depression. In these two artworks, there is great comparison and also a great contrast with different subjects being mentioned. There are high similarities where we can see that both artworks display a major character that is going through something difficult. One artwork is surrounded by racism, while the other one displays a major character suffering in the midst of poverty and desperation. We see a high contrast because the painting is during one time period and the photograph is in a time period a little before the other. One shows a little girl trying to stand firm by herself, while the other shows a mother and her children trying to survive together. Historical narratives all have a deep meaning only if one takes the time to look deep and figure out what is behind the paint, color, and art displayed. The problem we all live with and Migrant Mother have such a deep meaning with sensitive situations going on in the background of the art created or the photo captured. These two artworks both symbolize perseverance through the hardships, and we can see that both pieces have similarities and differences. Thank you.